It's the end of a busy day. You just saw 15 patients. Instead of heading home for dinner with your spouse or playing with the kids, you now begin your night job, charting. Charting is critical and necessary, but it steals your focus from your patients, eats away at your time with your family, and keeps you up at night. The burden of always having another chart to complete drains every clinician. Freed is an AI medical scribe that makes charting go away.
Freed listens, prepares your notes, and writes patient instructions for you. Charting is done before your patient walks out of the room. And wait, because it gets better. Freed learns your style over time, just like a human scribe would, except that it will never quit on you. Freed is loved by 3,000 plus clinicians from every specialty. It is HIPAA compliant, takes 30 seconds to learn, and costs only $99 per month. You can try Freed for free right now by going to freed.ai. That's FREED.ai. Listeners of BS Free MD can use the BS Free 50 coupon code for $50 off the first month.
Finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Heimlich.
We're back with another episode.
Doctales with cocktails.
Doctales with cocktails with fine beverages to share.
What do you have, tea?
Okay,
This
full
is too-
disclosure.
I'm so tired.
Before we talk about what's coming up on this episode, including nasty cereal snacks, nasty physicians who invent cereals, as well as, you could buy their home locally.
Exploding head syndrome.
An exploding head syndrome.
And a physician who is a senator saves another senator in the Capitol building.
I love it. Fun medical news. Well, we are so old, so West Coast, because
we're East Coast
I guess
now.
East Coast. I guess
we're the West Coast of Florida, but the East Coast of the United States.
We're not West Coast anymore. We're so East Coast that we're falling asleep at 9:00 at night because the sun has set and it's time to go to bed.
And because all of our neighbors are 75, nothing's going on around us.
So I am unable
they're lovely.
to partake in Doctales with cocktails any longer unless we have a new time change, because I cannot start drinking or continue.
I think we're going to just change the time.
Lipton tea, lemon
back
herbal is what I'm enjoying. What are you drinking
I do
tonight?
have bourbon with artisan ice, and as the ice melts, it turns into either a scale model of the Apollo 11 capsule or a strange ice nipple.
Yeah, you are exactly correct. If we could only take a picture of that and share it with everybody.
Yes.
Anyway, are you going to share now or later the bourbon?
I'm nursing from the ice nipple.
Let's share at the break the drink of the night, what you've got there. All righty. So let's save the funnies for what, later or now?
That's right.
Okay, share.
Let's save all entertainment for later.
Well, here's where we're at. Tim usually runs the show. I just manage the logistics. Although every now and then I come up with some fun stuff to share, right? And then if you haven't all listened to Joe Rogan podcast ever in your life, then you won't know what I'm talking about. But Sean Baker, carnivore, author of the Carnivore Diet, has been on Joe Rogan. We had the pleasure and honor of meeting Sean at the Ocala conference and hope to get him on our show soon. But I was listening to him talk on the podcast on Joe Rogan and learned some fun facts that I did not know about, and it got me kind of researching this evening whilst we were watching our favorite show, well, mine, The Masked Singer.
And for everyone on the West Coast, it's Sebastian Bach, so you can save the next 3 hours of your life and not watch the show.
You can't do that. You're gonna get some hate comments
Well,
now
it's okay.
from the
I just gave people 3
I was
hours
gonna
of their
say
life back.
the
2
peanut
hours
ga-
to wait for the show.
peanut gallery, but you are
Another
the peanut
hour to watch
gallery.
the show. You got your 3 hours back. You're welcome.
Oh, I would be so mad if that was me. Anyway, but I wouldn't be watching this, so it's all good. Anyway, I'm listening to the podcast. It's great. That I love it because he talks about all different things. But they were talking about carnivore diet and about different foods and the crap foods in boxes, and that led down to cereal. And someone did a study. I can't remember. That came out actually not too long ago. Was it a year ago? Year and a half? With Lucky Charms supposedly being healthier than meat. And it was just this
steak.
bullshit study. It was just stupid. Anyway, so they were talking about cereal and about how crap cereal is and how it's loaded with sugar. And then he gave some info about the founders of Kellogg's cereal that I didn't really ever know about it. So apparently Kellogg's was actually two brothers who founded the company, but the one brother, John Harvey Kellogg, was actually a physician, and he was a physician and a businessman, and he basically managed a sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan, I believe it is. And his brother helped manage it. He was doing more of the accounting. So as a physician, they were both Seventh-day Adventists. And now I'm not going to rip up and down on Seventh-day Adventists. This is basically just to give you some background because they believed in being vegetarian. And in the sanitarium that they were in,
vegetarian, abstinence from alcohol and tobacco,
okay,
and a regimen of exercise, all of which Kellogg followed. So, in which case he wouldn't be on Doctales.
Exactly.
Because we hate cereal.
So he was against meat eating vehemently. And he was an advocate for a bland diet driven in part by the Adventist goal of reducing sexual stimulation. And so there was all this stuff. If you read the bio about this guy, how nutty it was in this sanitarium. He believed that was a big proponent of disease and germ theory, and that, a lot of disease was alleviated by changing the intestinal flora. So of course, bacteria in the intestines would help or hinder the body. And so of course, what did they do? They had to cleanse these poor people of toxins by giving them all kinds of crazy enemas that include they gave them laxatives, high fiber food. They lowered their protein, trying to induce this change in their intestinal flora. And
they succeeded.
Yeah.
And then they became Democrats.
They gave them all kinds of...
I'm sorry, progressives. I misspoke.
Water enemas, followed by, chugging yogurt afterwards. Half was eaten. Half was administered by enema. The yogurt enemas.
No shit.
Well, for real.
No, yogurt shit.
They believed in this squeaky clean intestine. Oh, yeah. And he also believed that a lot of disease was transmitted through the foreskin. And so he would go ahead and do circumcisions on young boys. And they were trying to reduce masturbation in small boys. And they would circumcise them and do all this crazy wacko stuff. He was also, believe it or not, a big eugenicist. And
because nothing says I believe in the Bible like cleansing the gene pool of the unclean and coincidentally any race you don't like.
Yeah. So supposedly he was also one of the several people who was credited with the invention of peanut butter, but I'm not so sure about that.
It was actually peanut butter, but they fixed that with the circumcision.
So how they invented cereal was basically they were...
yes, they were trying to get... I watched the History Channel. Yeah. I know all about this.
So you could probably get into more detail about this, but it was kind of by accident because he left this dough out overnight. And they had this dough rolled out in thin sheets that they were going to feed these people, and somehow got left out this wheat berry dough. And the next morning, instead of throwing it out, they found that it was kind of broke up into all these little flakes. And rather than throwing it out, they thought they would feed it to the people in the sanitarium. And lo and behold, they liked it, as well as some of the other people that came to visit and that worked there. And so they actually developed cornflakes by accident. And that's
I love this.
the beginning of the story of cornflakes.
I'm the big picture guy. I'm the 10,000 foot, the 30,000 foot view. Breakfast cereal was invented by a disturbed, hyper-religious guy trying to keep you from jacking off.
Yeah.
That is just the greatest story. God bless America. And here's another little tidbit. He had a mansion in Dunedin, Florida, which is just barely north of Tampa. We've been there because the Toronto Blue Jays play their spring training games in Dunedin. Well, here's another little cereal tidbit about the state of Florida. Marjorie Post, the heiress, and actually one of the single persons most credited with the explosion of the success of the Post breakfast cereal brand.
Oh, and they ripped it off from him. Did you know that?
Yes, they ripped it off.
Yeah.
Built a gigantic mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, called Mar-a-Lago. Yes, that Mar-a-Lago, where Trump lives. It's called Mar-a-Lago because, kind of like Trump, she named her mansion on the Florida coast after herself, Marjorie.
That's awesome.
Yes. So believe it or not, I wonder if the Post cereal is having the Kellogg effect on President Trump.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling a sneeze coming on. Pardon me.
But yes. So apparently people that
anyway, so they messaged around. If you could read the whole story on online, but they experimented. They used rice, corn, wheat, and then they
then they had to figure out
added sugar. The one brother wanted to add the sugar to it,
how to
make
toast
the sugar
it,
flakes, and and then the brothers actually had this big fight, and then they became estranged and broke up.
Didn't the doctor brother leave the business, and the guy that actually blew Kellogg's cereal up was the accountant brother?
Yes, correct.
The business. It's not the doctors that make the money; it's the accountants.
Correct.
It's the business people, because doctors generally suck at business.
Well, speaking
it's true.
So that was the whole thing. So get this: I look up Kellogg's, and it no longer exists. Did you know that?
Oh, who bought it?
In October, here, let me find the news. Yeah, I couldn't believe this. Kellogg's is now called Kellanova, an American multinational food manufacturing company headquartered in Chicago. So what happened
we don't just make cereal, we make a whole bunch of ultra-processed
So nobody bought it.
shit.
There was two branches. There was the main cereal branch that is now reverted back to the original name, W.K. Kellogg Company. And the W.K. Kellogg Company is the one that is now they're going to rebrand their logo. It all changed October, I think it was the 3rd.
Of this year?
October 2nd of this year, yeah. It was split into two companies. So with W.K. Kellogg, it co-owns the North American Cereal Company. And then the existing company that's left over called Kellanova, that they own like Pop-Tarts, Pringles, Nutri-Grain, Cheez-Its, that kind of stuff.
It's a cornucopia of shit.
It's the crap.
And then literally.
They also own some of the cereals overseas in Europe, the cereals. Yeah, so I couldn't believe it because I'm like Googling Kellogg's, and it's like, no, Kellogg's does not exist anymore. It is now called Kellanova and the W.K. Kellogg Company.
Like, look at this. Like these cereals: Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, Mini Wheats, Special K. Honest to God, it would be safer if it was just ketamine, which is the street name for ketamine.
So there you
Rice
go.
Krispies, Raisin Bran, Kashi, Corn Flakes, Sugar Pops, Apple Jacks, Vector, which is the high fiber.
Vector, just it goes through your body like
it's
a
supposed
giant
to be the high protein cereal.
Speed shuttle.
Cracklin Oat Bran.
Oh, have you ever had that? It is horrible. It's like
Crispix,
Honey
Smacks, Crave. Okay, they actually named the cereal after what they're attempting to do with highly processed, sugar-filled treats. Crave, Smart Start, whatever. Mucilix and All Brand.
Anyway, thanks for reading that whole list. It was like going through the list of the
That's just-
generations of the Bible for us all, Tim.
Yeah, sorry, I bored the hell out of you.
Anyway.
But the thing that's amazing is that's just one cereal brand, and there's like,
Well, as
The
my
cereal
Canadian family and friends always marvel when they come down to visit us and walk through like any generic Safeway in the small town to a big town, and the whole aisle is cereal, and they're like, "What the heck? It doesn't exist." Where we grew up, there was like a little section of cereal, not a whole aisle.
what they should do on the cereal aisle is they should make it honest. Like, you know how if you want spaghetti sauce, it's usually next to the spaghetti, right?
Mm-hmm. So what, you're going to put this next to the diabetic medication?
I'm going to put it next to the insulin and next to the funeral home applications.
Yes, so this all
Never eat cereal.
So get this. When I looked up the history of the Kellogg's family, the first thing that popped up was in the Tampa news. The Kellogg's family apparently had a mansion in Dunedin, which is in Tampa here. And now this historic mansion that was, I think it's going for $7 million on the waterfront.
It's a teardown for $7 million.
Is a teardown.
I'll take two.
It's developed into they developed it into 3 properties. Sounds like deja vu to us, right? Well, anyway, it's for sale. So apparently this home, it's 7,000 square feet or more. It's got like 5 bedrooms. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was built in
7
1925.
Built in 34 by W. Kellogg. He spent 2 winters at this Gulf Coast home. And then it was used in World War II for Marines to house them. It's got some pretty gaudy decor. So a physician finally bought it. Some physician in Tampa bought the thing for I think $4 million. And then after a few years decided it was like unsalvageable and got a permit finally to demolish it. But if you go online and look at this house, some of the photos in there that I found, like you walk in, it looks like a Barbie mansion. It's all pink and it's got all kinds of gaudy decor, etc. So,
but no, there was zero masturbation in the mansion.
There's an enema room though. No, I don't know.
Well, didn't he give himself like 20-gallon enemas or something like that?
That I don't know.
Or multiple gallon enemas,
I'm sure.
like daily to clean himself up.
Physicians do a lot of weird things to themselves.
You can't masturbate. But you can shove a hose and numerous gallons of fluid up your rear, and somehow that's entirely okay. I do not understand. So even in the early, even 100 years ago, we had completely divorced ourselves.
Complete craziness,
from common
right?
sense in the medical world. And he had like big name people going to that sanitarium to get healthy and fit and whatever.
Oh,
like big name.
Taft was there. Let me think of some other people that I read that went there.
This was the she cutting edge. Get healthy, So
what they also had there was they did things like they believed in phototherapy.
Good.
Saunas, cold therapy.
Good.
And then electricity therapy, like electrotherapeutic. I'm not quite exactly sure. Hydrotherapy, thermotherapy, physiologic. What was I going to say? Just vibrational therapy. There you go.
Electrotherapy and vibrational therapy.
Vibrational therapy by way of sinusoidal high frequency oscillating electric currents. And they say that was discovered by Kellogg in 1984 to have medical use for increasing blood circulation as well as exercise. So
maybe the electrical therapy and the vibration therapy made it so that you didn't need to masturbate.
And then, but then he invented a vibrating chair used to stimulate vital organs in the lower abdomen. Unfortunately, you're right. If they stimulated all the organs in the lower abdomen or the ones you didn't want, then you would get the circumcision and the enema. Yeah.
And the electrical therapy.
Isn't that nice? Nutty? Yeah, all kinds of bizarre stuff.
But it really is kind of interesting. Like, it's kind of interesting, this whole concept of they literally used a vegan-ish vegetarian diet to make people weaker. Like, so they were less robust and they didn't have sexual urges.
Stimulated them with
sexual urges are normal.
And
how you express your sexual urges is where morality comes in. but you should be vibrant and robust and filled with all sorts of different, animal urges until you eat cornflakes and then you get weak. And it just
anyway. This was the alternative medicine of the day back then. They had the massage devices.
I just want to see if Jason remembers that. He's watching.
Okay.
Sorry.
We will
I have
fill
ADD.
the audience that's listening in later that you're holding up your cocktail of the night, but we'll get to that. So then he invented irrigators.
Like for the lawn?
No, for measuring the amount of liquid entering and exiting the colon, as well as indicating pressure, etc., and all kinds of colonic cleansing devices used to shoot gallons of water.
Gallons. That's what I said.
Yes.
Gallons of water in patients' rectums into their colons, sometimes followed by a half-pint yogurt enema to aid in further cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to break this down to the absolute brass tacks base level. If you're seeing a doctor that wants you to eat nothing but breakfast cereal, especially one that he invented, and says that the worst thing that can happen to you from a physiologic perspective is masturbation, and then wants to shove stuff up your ass, get another doctor. Okay, I know that might sound like radical. Get another doctor.
Sounds like a regular gastroenterologist. They're always pushing fiber, and then they stick that colonoscopy up your butt. And it's like, what did you say? A 3-drink minimum last time you went in?
I told them the last time I had my colonoscopy that the anesthesia needed to be good because I have a 3-drink minimum for butt stuff.
There you go. Perfect. So I don't know. Maybe he was really a gastroenterologist.
Maybe he was just a freak. Like it's just. But here it begs this question. What shishi cutting edge longevity whatever bullshit do we believe now? That's the same as this was. Because this was the Brian Johnson, Dave Asprey, whatever of 100 years ago. It was. He was a actual physician. He was basing this on things he legitimately believed were correct based on observational data. It's true. It's absolutely no different than what we're doing in longevity medicine now, in my opinion. Because how do you prove longevity? Like I saw a video of Dave Asprey today, and he may be a great guy. And 99% of what he's doing and advocating may be right on target. I have no idea, but I'm never going to know. Because he did a video today where he says he expects to live to 180.
And why would you want to? Is what I'm feeling.
No, he's going to be vibrant and whatever, and he's going to live to 180. Like, how is that less nutty than Kellogg giving you cereal and shoving a pipe up your ass? Like, seriously, like you listen to that and you're just like, and everything's a theory. There's studies suggest that whatever. And then as soon as it suggests that it's bowls of supplements into science that's unprovable because you can't prove longevity studies until you live to 200, and none of us are going to be here to critique them.
Yeah.
So it's just like it just makes me crazy. And that's why I like Sean Baker, because he's like, I do carnivore, people lose weight, they're not diabetics anymore, and they throw their pills away. Perfect. It's an intervention, makes sense to me.
Right. The hard part about this is, he had a bunch of wackadoodle things that he did, but then there was also a lot of beliefs that he held that we still know to this day
are really good.
Mm-hmm. He believed in abstinence from alcohol, but not smoking as it being harmful. Phototherapy, the importance of sunlight, pure air, rest and sleep, and proper food and exercise.
Yeah, but this begs another question.
You know what I mean? So then you mix that in, and then someone throws in a little voodoo-y.
But it begs
peach flavored. Pick your favorite yogurt brand.
Up the chute.
Up the booty, and you're like, oh, that must be good too.
But that's the point. But it begs the other question, and this is what I call, just because you're crazy doesn't mean you're not right. And so what I have noticed, because we have been deeply involved in the medical freedom movement, is as my opinion has changed about certain things like vaccinations, for instance, or the COVID whatever, or certain treatments or certain medications. There's people that held those beliefs forever, and they're still crazy because they got to the right answer through crazy town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
They were driving from
we've talked about this
Portland,
a lot.
Oregon to Los Angeles via Chicago, St. Louis, and Crazy Town. Just because they ended up at Los Angeles doesn't mean that they got there the right way. It doesn't mean that their reasoning is correct. And so the fact that he thought phototherapy was good, cold immersion was good, saunas were good, all of these things that we think are good and probably do make a lot of sense, still 100 years later, because the proof is really in the time. And so you sit there and you go, it doesn't mean everything they believe is right. Okay. And we see this kind of tribalism in healthcare, in science, and it's just completely frustrating because it's totally incorrect. Like it's easy to see in the political realm.
Pearson Ravitz' story begins with Dr. Stephanie Pearson, a passionate OB/GYN at the height of her career. But when a shoulder injury struck during a precipitous delivery, her dreams were shattered, leaving her unable to practice medicine. Determined to make a difference, Stephanie became an advocate for her peers, guiding them through the complex disability process. Alongside insurance expert Scott Ravitz, Stephanie founded Pearson Ravitz, a company determined to approach insurance differently. Together, they set their mission to educate and empower physicians to protect their most valuable asset, their income, and the most important people in their life, their family. Today, Pearson Ravitz serves the medical community in all 50 states. At Pearson Ravitz, they understand the unique concerns of physicians. Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Ravitz builds human connections before they create quotes. Life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness or injury could leave you and your family in a devastating financial situation. But with a little planning and guidance, you can prepare for every possibility. Visit PearsonRavitz.com today to schedule your consultation with the Pearson Ravitz advisor.
Okay. Like you can vote for a certain person because you think 80% of what they're going to do or what they say is correct. But 20% can still be nuts.
Yep, absolutely.
Like you can't buy all of it. Like don't buy, like you have to question everything to at least a certain degree. And that's the problem, is that we see stuff and people are like, man, I did the whatever diet and I lost a ton of weight and I feel better. And this guy also is a proponent of 20-gallon proprietary daily enemas.
But it gets better. So get this.
So
some things come full circle, it seems, because you know how I said that he was sort of accredited as being one of the founders of peanut butter. You know why? Because he was looking for a vegetable substitute for meat, even back then.
Like
1901.
If you have to look for a substitute for something,
and so
then eat the something.
There is a blend of nuts and grain cereals that they called Protos. They applied for this patent, a vegetable food compound, and it was supposed to possess equal or greater value than, the equivalent forms of meat. And they made this stuff. And then there was another one, apparently, that he called Nuttos. That was another meat alternative made mostly from peanuts and resembled, get this.
He was against masturbation, so it was no Nuttos.
He made it to look like cold roast mutton, apparently it says. And then you could season and marinate it, and you could make it have the flavor of fried chicken or barbecue, depending what you put it. And they served it with like mashed potatoes and vegetables.
It's 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So they were doing bullshit fake meat 100 years ago. It's exactly like we talked about before, about the whole Bill Gates, whatever,
so now
he wants to save the environment by making fake meat, but then the amount of energy it takes to actually make fake meat and the input costs from, the amount of electricity you need and all of the byproducts, and you have to mine the byproducts. It's way easier to just get the actual meat producers to walk around on the grass and turn grass into yummy, yummy steaks, and then shit the grass onto the grass, which then helps the grass regrow. Because guess what? The original regenerative farmer is a freaking cow.
Imagine that. But then, so we were talking about famous people. So Amelia Earhart and one of these explorers, the polar guy, Richard Byrd, they went to him to get all these plant-based food so that they could do a lot of their.
Maybe that's why she crashed, because she was a vegetarian.
She
was having a high colonic across the Pacific and shit her pants and crashed into a freaking. You never know. Can you imagine if they actually find the skeleton of Amelia Earhart? There's like demolished airplane in the puller out, and there's this pipe up the back of the pelvis.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
there you go.
I've seen wackier things on Instagram today.
Anyway, yeah, a lot of very reputable, smart, intelligent, supposedly people turn to him for advice. But pretty wacky.
It's interesting because I found this. I was looking for it tonight and I couldn't find it. It got vaporized in a hard drive that ate crap. But it was a 1990
crap
completely. Yes, it was a 1919 equivalent of the like SMS or whatever, the U.S. Department of Health pamphlet for young men on what it meant to be a healthy young man. And like 99% of it is amazing. Like, it's amazing. You should be able to do this many pull-ups, this many push-ups, this many sit-ups, sleep with the window open. Don't sleep around because you'll get VD and you'll give your unborn baby gonorrhea.
Sounds
and then
all
they'll
like
be
good
blind.
Advice that a lot of people could
and then you look at this and you go, this is crazy. Like, they wanted these kids to be really fit and really smart. And then you get to the last chapter and it's like, don't jerk off because it's like robs your body of vital humors or something. And you're like, wow, this train was great until the train hit this rock and all of a sudden just drove off of a cliff.
I guess they wanted
so bizarre. It's like, where did you get this from? It's like, it's like
the blood,
it's just wild.
It's not the same as donating blood. They figured that you need to keep that to yourself to keep you healthy. Yeah.
Actually,
so
I just saw, and again, I need to verify this. What is it? It is 21 ejaculations a month decrease your risk for prostate cancer by 20%.
I've heard that before. I don't think that's new, is it? There is like some kind of quantifiable.
May wants me to die.
No, I didn't say that you couldn't, find someone to help you. Just like you do with other training sessions, they help you live a fitter and healthier life.
A personal trainer? I think that would be a problem.
Oh my gosh. A personal trainer to prevent prostate cancer. I don't think
that's what you could do. Yes, because
we're in the world.
We're in the world of
how old are you? I don't think you need a trainer.
We're in the world of renaming things, right? So it's
well,
it
not could be like the Thigh Master, only it could be the
Guy Master,
Tainter Sizer. I don't know.
Right? No, it's like, it's not a prostitute. It's a prostate personal training device.
Oh, that's called a horse ride.
Get it correct.
It's called riding a horse. Isn't that what you said a long time ago? Anyway, this is getting off the
that's
rails.
Bad. This is bad.
Getting off the rails. So yeah,
it's like we go to church. We have our new church. It's like, what do you do? Well, I'm a doctor. Oh, that's great. What do you do? Well, I do
handing out cards.
And I have a podcast.
Not what you do at church
that you don't want to listen to.
Not the Wednesday night edition, anyways. See, so yeah, we've got some comments popping up about how definitely people have gone on vegetarian diets, feel horrible, and they definitely need meat protein. Now, we talked about this before, but everybody doesn't fit into one basket, and some people thrive off the carnivore diet. And I think it really does do something for people that have these crazy autoimmune diseases as well as rheumatoid arthritic conditions. But there are people that thrive on vegetarian diets, although I would use the term thrive loosely.
I would call them,
I would say
there's a name for them. Bunny rabbits.
Yeah. Anyway, I think most people don't do well on a vegetarian diet compared to having animal meat in their diet. Now, do I believe that everyone should go full carnivore?
No.
No. Anyway, all right, enough of that fun and nonsense. What
That's
are you
fun.
just pouring?
Well,
there,
we're
Tim?
almost done. Okay, what am I pouring? This is probably long enough. Man, did we go off the rails? Like literally, I almost feel like.
Well, you have to share. You have to share the rest of the stories.
I'm
you promised
wondering.
to share the audience.
Yes, we will. I'm wondering if we should just become Catholics, because we could do this episode and then we at least have confession.
Well,
I'm drinking bourbon, bullet
rye.
Outstanding. Rye in Canada tastes horrible.
Okay, well, note to self.
Bourbon rye on this side of the border, like an angel dancing on your tongue.
So Bullet Rye is sponsoring. Bullet Rye is
not
filling your cup.
No,
no.
Get it right. I am sponsoring Bullet Rye. They are not sponsoring us.
You did.
That is exactly how that works.
You're sponsoring Bullet Rye. That's
Correct.
Right. I got the sentence backwards.
When the giver of the money is the sponsor, that would be me.
All right, I'm giving you a hand. Just because Stacy asked to give you a hand.
Wow.
There's 2 hands. I'm donating to Tim.
Must be my birthday.
For his,
anyways,
his taint-erciser therapy.
Honest to God, we could come up with a taint-erciser and we billionaires or something.
Isn't
just some crazy.
Seriously, I thought that was like you riding a bicycle, because you hate that too. Horse would be more.
No, horse is honestly that is.
How about a unicycle that bounces like a pogo stick? Would that do it?
I don't know. I have done some really terrible recreational activities, and the thing I hate the most in the entire world is horseback riding.
Well,
there's
a lot of cowboys out there.
Not me. My horse is iron and has 1,800.
Well.
CCs.
You're a hero. And speaking of heroes, tell us about the other physician hero in the news this week.
Rand Paul.
Yeah,
they were at us.
I kind of nickname him Rant Paul because.
Yeah, but he's so good. But he's from Kentucky and he has that California voice, and I love it. It's like he's just got off
from San Diego.
It's like, Dr. Fauci, I just got petted on a huge wave and you're a piece of shit. And it's just like, where did they get this guy? Like, how does he have the California voice and he's a senator from Kentucky?
I know.
And he's awesome. He's like an ophthalmologist. It's like, and your eye, you got cataracts.
So
dude.
How did he say
you got cataracts.
Did
he gave
someone dying from a cataract?
No, he gave Joni Ernst the Heimlich maneuver whilst she was choking at a senatorial GOP meeting. And then she came back with a quip, which was, we were talking about Democrat policies and it made me choke.
I love it. Okay, so I have 2 questions for you.
And he saved her life,
I have 2
which
questions.
was amazing. I wonder if that's the first time one senator has saved another senator's. It's like, Johnny, you got to chew your food for at least 40 chews before you.
So the first question is, was she eating meat, choking on meat? Because that's usually when you learn how to do the Heimlich maneuver, and they always tell you the typical story is like a big, obese man who's 45 and he's eating a giant steak in a restaurant.
I have no idea.
They didn't say what she was eating?
I can't remember.
Okay, so I have a second question. Have you ever had, and I know the answer to this, have you ever had the Heimlich maneuver done on you?
No.
But I have.
Really?
You know that story. For real? You don't remember that story? Well, it was before us.
You've had every medical thing done to you.
No, I haven't had the paddles. I haven't been.
You haven't had the and you haven't had the Kellogg 20-gallon enema.
No, I have not. But
Kellogg's.
I've done the cleansing myself before the colonoscopy, but not the Kellogg enema. No, so I was in med school. I went over to visit my boyfriend at lunchtime because his apartment was close to school. It was across the street. Anyway, I was over there and I was eating my lunch and I was eating those little baby carrots, those little raw.
Plants are trying to kill you.
Cute, bullet-shaped orange baby carrots. And
trachea-shaped
vegetable. I think I chomped it in half and he was in the kitchen and I don't know why, but I leaned back over my chair upside down just to be goofy and look at him. And as I did it, it went down the went down the wrong pipe into my esophagus. No, what am I saying? Not in my esophagus, in my bronchus.
Through your trachea into your, yeah.
Well, so I lean back and instantly I know that it's like lodged. I can feel it right there in the main stem. And then it's not in my esophagus clearly. And I sit up and I couldn't really speak, couldn't really catch my breath. And I start, poking really rapidly, kind of like at my chest. And I'm like kind of going like this with my hands. And he's like, what the heck are you doing? He didn't know what was going on. And so I basically had to back up to him, wrap his arms around me and like show him kind of like how to squeeze. And he's like, oh, you're choking. Anyway, I was small, tiny. I was never a big person. He gave one huge kind of squeeze with his fist and that carrot shot out across the room and it must have went 25 feet. And yeah, it worked really good, but that hurt. It was quite frightening.
I bet it was. I can't imagine.
So yes, I've had it done on me.
Yeah, things I hope I never have to experience.
Yeah.
Okay, one last thing.
Okay, that was kind of somber.
It was kind of somber. Who was that saved your life?
Who? Should I
no,
say
not
his
that name. It was a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. My one true love before you. Anyway. Yes.
It's funny that you had to like literally back up and like
he was in finance.
Were you sign languaging Heimlich maneuver like da 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 da?
He was in finance.
Wow.
He wasn't good with his hands, just his brain. I don't know.
No one's very good with his brain. Anyway, so
no, he wasn't, because that relationship ended poorly. Anyway.
Exploding head syndrome.
What
do you know what it
is exploding head syndrome?
Exploding head syndrome. Do you know
okay, I'm gonna guess.
Guess.
So I would say, you'd want to think aneurysm.
You would.
But let me say something to do with increased pressure in the ventricles of the brain.
No.
Causing hydro.
No, you're a million miles away. Exploding head syndrome is a parasomnia. Parasomnias are things that happen right when you're falling asleep or waking up. So there's several parasomnias. One of the most common would be sleep paralysis, where you're just starting to wake up and you know that you're awake, but you're still paralyzed from sleeping and you can't move. It's horrifying. It's awful. I used to get it during medical school and college when I would read a lot and then fall asleep. The other parasomnias are like even like the nocturnal jerking. That's normal, but when it wakes you up, that's kind of a parasomnia.
Really, that happens to me right when I'm falling asleep.
Yes,
it's my legs just want to fly off the bed like I'm jumping on a trampoline, and it wakes me up, and it's so annoying.
Well, this one, exploding head syndrome, is a parasomnia. So while you're falling, wow, I got the hiccups.
Okay, you're cut off of that. It went down the wrong windpipe. Now you have diaphragmatic spasm, which is the name for hiccups.
Yes. So while you're falling asleep, you get this perceived unbelievably loud sound in your head.
What?
Yes. And no one else can hear it. And it is literally sounds like your head's exploding. So it's named exploding head syndrome.
So that is a whole different ball game from having your ears pop in your head.
Yeah, no, it's like because it's like your auditory part of your brain is like just having this massive discharge, and it's like and it sounds like your head's
again with the discharge.
It's amazing. It's
that word stuck in your vocabulary this episode.
So
wow, that's horrible. I have never heard of that parasomnia before.
Exploding head syndrome.
I sleepwalked.
You almost
when I was
sleepwalked into a lake.
Yes. And I sleptwalked at home and did weird things quite often. My girlfriend did it much worse. Like she would go out in the winter. It was like 40 below. She'd go outside naked and throw herself in the snow, and her parents would have to come haul her ass back.
Stacy, it is not dangerous. It is a perception. It is nothing to be worried about. I'm sure it scares the living crap out of whoever has it. Well, unless they've been to Kellogg's sanitarium and had 20 gallons of enema, in which case nothing could scare the crap out of you because you are literally crapless.
So the question is, and do you know, like, where's that sound originating?
Well, I think it's in the auditory cortex.
So
or whatever.
in the cortex, there's nothing going on like in
No,
the the eardrum.
no.
It's
It's pure brain. It's not like your eardrum snaps or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. Exploding head syndrome.
That is, wow. I wonder if there is a support group for that or a.
Speaking of support groups, so a couple of weeks ago, we did an episode about, what was it?
Otto brewery syndrome.
Otto brewery syndrome.
Well, lo and behold, they reached out to us.
There is an Otto brewery syndrome, believe it or not, support group, advocacy group, and they have requested to be on the podcast. And I said, abso-frickin-lutely, because it, we make fun of stuff on these episodes.
We
on
joke
Wednesday,
and jest, but
apparently this is super duper disabling and fairly dangerous. So I'd love to get the bottom line from people that actually, aren't just reading an article in a whatever, not real medical journal about how common this is, how dangerous it is, how it's treated. I'd love to go down that rabbit hole.
Also, the parasomnias too would be great. The sleepwalking.
You could get a parasomnist. Well, parasomnias are very
Walker
common.
Would be all over it because he's a sleep expert, and his book is fascinating. And we've shared before about his book, Why We Sleep, and all this stuff in there. But yeah, they are fascinating. And any kind of dreams are wild, for one thing. But the parasomnias are.
Did you read that? When I fall asleep, I'm awoken with a major noise like a car hitting our car, but nobody else hears it. It startles me awake. That is exploding head syndrome.
You just diagnosed the patient.
Well, I didn't because I don't practice medicine on Facebook. But that's the description.
That sounds like what it would be. Mm-hmm. I've never heard anyone tell me that before. Obviously, the sleep paralysis, you're awake but you can't move your body, the restless legs, the jumping, sleepwalking. Fascinating.
Yep, it sounds like a car. Yep, that's
I love learning new things.
I've never heard that before, but that is exactly what is described when I have heard it. That is the description. No one else can hear it.
So what I want to know,
and you swear they should hear it because it's so loud.
Stacy, she can't, talk on the show, but maybe she could let us know how often it occurs, or if it's correlated with anything. If she's overtired, or if she had bullet ride before she goes to bed. It would be interesting to know how often it happens, or if there's any kind of triggers that she's been able to associate it with. So if she lets us know,
like cornflakes and colonics,
we will share before this episode's over. Yeah. She thinks it's stress related.
Well, it sure could be.
And
when I was under
stress, that's crazy. Not crazy.
When I was under stress, that's when I had sleep paralysis. It was, and my dad had it, and our son has it. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, like super mentally active, super engaged, fall asleep even for a nap, and you go to wake up and you cannot move, and it is like.
And when I have stress, my hair falls out. Literally, I should show them the clump of hair that came out this last week.
Because that's what everyone wants to see.
It's a clump of some middle to old age ladies' hair. Yeah, and can't eat, and we all have different things, but. Yeah, that's well.
We're done.
I think we should share what's coming out on the podcast tomorrow.
I always forget to do the most important thing.
That's right. Is share the podcast episodes. We are we've interviewed again our wonderful friend Dr. Harvey Rish, who comes on, and we have a great conversation to look at the data, what data there is, if any, regarding the rise supposedly that we're seeing anecdotally in cancers, turbo cancers, and disease since the pandemic, and then also since the jabs have come out along with it. And so what is the data showing from the American Cancer Society? What's the data in the US as well as in Britain? And what should we expect to see or watch, and how to monitor for these turbo cancers, aggressive cancers that seem to be happening to many people in the last couple of years. So
is it real, or are we just imagining it because we're looking for it?
Great conversation.
That was really the question. Mm-hmm. And anytime we have an opportunity to talk to Harvey, it's just a delight. He is a wonderful human being. He's a very kind man. and his brain is atomic powered. Like literally, it's like cooling rods go in his head so he doesn't melt so he doesn't have exploding head syndrome from an atomic bomb inside his brain.
Yeah.
I
just feel like I'm one of those kindergartners in the class sitting there eagerly, I have a question. And then obviously he does a great job explaining, but we try to keep it so that our audience can understand as well. And then I'm thinking, if I can't understand it, some of you will have trouble. So we try to decipher all that. So it's great. Tune into that episode. We have a truth serum out again with some fun photos of our front yard lit up currently with Frosty and the Grinch, as well as my palm tree decor that I got to do with Jake, and some other thoughtful insights on how to be very intentional with your time. We had a truth bomb drop today that kind of ties into that, and we hope you take a listen because it's got some good food for thought about being intentional with the people that you're with. And really, I hate the word living in the moment. It is more about paying attention, being intentional with the people you're with. Sound good?
Yes, and maximizing opportunity, because some opportunities you only get once.
Exactly. All right, everybody. So sign up for our newsletter, Truth Serum. If you have trouble finding it, let me know in the social posts, but you can message us on Facebook, Instagram. We hope that you will just share BS Free MD with at least one person this week to entertain them while they're on their drive to work or mowing the lawn.
Or to prison.
Wait,
drive to prison. We don't judge.
Nobody's mowing the lawn in the winter down in the wet West Coast, or up in the wet West Coast. Sorry, but help support us by having a friend or
if you missed any of this
listen.
episode and want to listen to it, in your car on Monday, it will be out as a podcast.
Tune in on all the podcast platforms. You know what those are. And that's it from us tonight. See you next time.
As we wrap up, remember, Freed AI is here to free you from your medical documentation. HIPAA compliant, takes 30 seconds to learn, and is incredibly affordable. Join the movement to eliminate clinician burnout. Visit Freed AI and improve your lifestyle.
And you can try Freed for free right now by going to freed.ai. It's FREED.ai. Listeners of BS Free MD can use the BS Free 50 coupon code for $50 off the first month.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.